Would you like some simple tips that will improve your success as an author-publisher? This is Judy Baker from Book Marketing Mentor, and I want to share with you the podcasts that I listen to that help me improve my ability as a marketer, and that will help you as well. You're probably all familiar with iTunes, whether you have an iOS device or not. We're going to start there. And in iTunes, we're going to go right under the arts category and click on literature. And guess what? A bunch of stuff comes up because there are many authors who are making podcasts with their books. And there are marketing people who are telling you how to do it better. But let's go to some specific podcasts because I've got some that I absolutely recommend. Go over to, we're going to open iTunes. And here in podcasts, you can see that you can look for things. You can find out what's cooking. But we're going to go to Side Hustle School because it is one of the podcasts that I do recommend. And you might say, well, what's that got to do with me as an author? Well, Chris Guillebeau is an author. He's published several books. In his podcasts about people who have started side hustles, he's featured many authors who created books because they saw a need and then they wrote about it. One of his very early podcasts was about Shanta Grimes, who created Ninja Writer, and it's how she uses Patreon to have an income stream, and she's making over 6 figures a year using Patreon. So listen to Side Hustle School. It'll help reframe your brain about the fact that you as an author are also a business person. All right, and we're going to go to Book Launch Show. This one is by Tim Grahl, and Tim Grahl is brilliant. He teaches you from the very beginning the fundamentals of how to go about your marketing and do it successfully and not make yourself crazy. He's very easy to listen to. I appreciate his style. He's amazing. Listen to the Book Launch Show. Another one I can recommend is Mark Dawson. And he is a successful author himself. Very funny, British, and he walks you through self-publishing. What could be better than that, since most of you are self-publishing? So Mark Dawson's self-publishing formula. Great. Now we're going to scoot over to Mark Coker. Mark Coker is podcasting his update of his free book that he gives to everyone who goes to Smashwords. And not only that, he is telling you some of the best things to do to ensure that you have a book that's ready to publish, and then what to do to keep it in front of your readers. The Creative Pen podcast with Joanna Penn is worth listening to. Joanna is an author who bridges nonfiction and fiction, like Mark Dawson. She is amazingly prolific on both counts. She loves to teach, and her podcast is a wealth of information on what you need to know as an author-publisher. Jeff Goins is making a living as a writer, and he has a bunch of books out there. One of his podcasts is The Portfolio Life, The Art of Work, and he will get you right into the thick of things. the portfolio life, it's about being an artist, but it's about being an artist who gets paid for what you do. He's got The Art of Work. This is a companion to one of his other books. He tells you what he did wrong, and he tells you now what he's doing right. The last one I'm going to mention is Grammar Girl. I like Grammar Girl because she brings in other people who are also passionate about words, and it's about word usage. It's about how people misuse words. And as an author, guess what? The better command of the language that you have, the better your book. Castbox. And I heard about it through Jordan Harbinger at The Art of Charm, who also is another podcast favorite of mine. And I do recommend listening to him too, so hang on. I need to show you his as well. The reason I'm recommending that you check into The Art of Charm, Jordan Harbinger interviews authors and he reads their books before he interviews them. So he's prepared. A lot of the time he's not only reading a physical book, but he might be using the audiobook, but he studies up, which is very unusual. Most of the time, if you are being interviewed, your interviewer has not read your book. Help you understand how you can be a better guest on a podcast, a radio interview, live interview, and how these authors are not saying, buy my book, buy my book. They are expressing passion for what they are interested in. And then he will mention Jordan will mention what he likes about the book and why you might want to read it. So those are just a few of the podcasts that I can tell you about that I know of, but there are a bunch more in iTunes and these other platforms. So back to Castbox. Castbox works. It's a new service and you can subscribe to it. You can find a wide variety of shows on here, and it lets you, what's different about it is it lets you go to specific spots within a podcast, which you can't always do with some of the other services. So check it out. As you can see, it's available in the App Store, Google Play, and it's available for Amazon Echo. So I think you will like it. I've tried it out. I've got it on my iPad. Another service is called Stitcher. And it is, I would call these directories. They, include the shows. They tell you a little bit more about the different shows that they have on here. This one is SoundCloud. And the reason I'm including it, you might also want to start podcasting. So you can find shows on SoundCloud and you can create your own. This is another service, Libsyn. And again, if you're thinking that you might want to start a podcast, check them out. Podbean. This is a service where you can find podcasts and you can create your own. Pod Search. I typed in to Google, how do you find podcasts? And Pod Search came up, and you can find shows here. You can, look at the search terms. Great, easy to use. My quick, simple Saturday set of tips, and I will list all of the podcasts, the podcast services in the notes. Judy Baker, Book Marketing Mentor. We help you plan, engage your audience, launch your book, and sell your book. Find more tips at bookmarketingmentor.com, and I'll see you tomorrow with more tips for author publishers who want to be successful at marketing and selling their books.